Last week, we were in the grips of an intense heat wave. This week, not so much. But it is only the beginning of June. We have 3 more months of potentially warm weather to enjoy. So I want to make sure that I have a wardrobe full of garments that are going to keep me cool, comfortable, and confident in the heat. Now, summer does, of course, bring with it other issues such as insects and lovely little critters that like to nibble you in the night. And one such bug decided that they wanted to sponsor today's video, so I'm here to introduce you to today's guest. My lovely little friend here, front and centre. I swear I could lead Santa's sleigh with this thing. So we're going to acknowledge it, and we're going to move on with the rest of the video. One of the biggest factors when it comes to a successful summer garment is your fabric choice. We want natural fibres that are lightweight, comfortable to wear, and are moisture wicking, which means they draw moisture away from the skin to the outside of the garment where it can evaporate. So here are 5 of my favourite fabrics to sew and wear when it gets really hot. One of the most popular fabrics to wear in hot weather is, of course, linen. Linen is worn all over the world. It is a very natural fibre, very, very good for hot weather, but it can come in different weights. So you really want to make sure that you look at the weight in the fabric description to see whether it's going to work for you. This one is actually quite heavy at 235 grams per square metre, but it is 100% linen. And it's beautiful to wear, it's beautiful to sew and to work with. This one is quite heavy though. So you really want to look out for something more around the 160, 170 GSM. That is going to give you a lovely lightweight fabric, a little bit of floatiness, a little bit of drapiness. Now the thing to know about linen is it can feel a little bit scratchy to start off with, but after time and washing and wearing, it does soften up. Something that I think puts a lot of people off sewing with linen is how much it does crease. It gives a very sort of rumpled effect. You do have to kind of lean into it. If you want to sew with linen, it can feel really obvious as you're sewing it, as you're pressing it, it creases up a lot. But when you're wearing it, the heat of your body, the humidity outside is going to help to sort of smooth it out. It's not going to be 100% perfect. So you do have to embrace it, embrace the rumpledness of the fabric, and you will have some really gorgeous garments. But a linen does blend very well with other fibres, particularly cotton and viscose. Those are really, really easy to find. This is a viscose linen blend, which is much lighter weight than the linen that I have here, and the viscose content makes it slightly drapier, and it also helps to eliminate some of those wrinkles that you get in a 100% linen. It also makes it slightly softer, slightly more comfortable against the skin as well. As you can see, it's not super drapey. The viscose does give it a little bit more drape, but you're looking at something like jackets, trousers, shirts, shirt dresses or pinafore dresses or dungarees are all perfect for anything with linen. One other thing to note about linen is that it can stretch a little bit over time and wear, particularly in areas where there's lots of movement. So if you're making a pair of trousers, the knees or sort of around your butt where you're sitting down and standing up a lot of the time will quite often stretch out and won't fit quite as close to the body as maybe it did when you first made it. You can use things like cotton twill tape around any seams to help reinforce it, but I would maybe consider making lightweight, loose and floaty styles that are supposed to be away from the body rather than anything very, very fitted. The next type of fabric that I think is really lovely to wear in the summer is, of course, cotton, another natural fibre. Now, there is a list as long as my arm of the different types of cottons, and I do have a previous video to check out where I talk about many of the varieties of cotton and how to sew and wear, so go and check that out. Of course, as with many fabrics, not all cottons are created equal. You have much thicker cottons. Canvas, twill, denim, quilting cotton are much stiffer, much heavier, and aren't going to be great for the summer. Very lightweight and airy cottons like lawn, chambray, seersucker, voile will make perfect summer trousers, dresses, shirts, blouses. Of course, the lighter weight it is, the floatier it is. This is a cotton from Hey Sew Sister that I got last year. It's a very lightweight block print cotton. It was actually about 80 GSM, so it has a lot of floatiness. Now, because it's block print, when it first arrived, it was actually quite stiff, but after the first wash and then any subsequent washes as well, it became much lighter, much floatier. So anything that needs gathering is absolutely perfect. Cotton lawn is a really popular one. It has a very tight weave, which gives it almost a very silky feel and is actually quite cool to the touch as well against your skin. So cotton lawn is a really great choice. I really love sewing and working with chambray. It looks a little bit like denim, but it's much lighter weight. It's 100% cotton as well. So it's a great alternative for things like trousers. Obviously, I wouldn't make your typical jeans in a chambray. It is much too lightweight for jeans. But trousers, shirts, shirt dresses, pinafore dresses, things like that, a chambray is a really great fabric. Seersucker is another fabric that is really commonly found in the summer. A lot of people do, of course, attach it to the type of summer school dresses that we wear here in the UK, especially when they are in ginghams. Seersucker is a fabric that has a naturally crinkled texture to it, and those crinkles help to hold the fabric away from the skin, making it very airy and very comfortable in the hot weather. Now, word of caution, a lot of seersuckers do come as a cotton polyester blend. So if you want to find something that is 100% cotton or at least has a higher cotton content than polyester. It's also a fabric that has been around quite a long time. So if you want to make maybe like a 50s style dress or skirt to wear to a picnic, a seersucker is a really cute option. Next up is viscose. Now there are again loads of different types of viscose, but the ones that I think are perfect for the summer are lightweight viscose poplin or a viscose challis. Now this is the Viscose challis. It is incredibly fine, incredibly lightweight, probably one of the floatiest fabrics you will find. It is also a little bit sheer, so you definitely want to consider what you're making and probably what colour undies you're wearing underneath as well. It's great for very floaty outfits, blouses, very delicate, beach cover-ups as well, like a sarong or something like that, is perfect in a viscose challis. It was made almost to replicate silk, but at a cheaper price. This is a viscose poplin, which isn't quite as sheer as the challis, but it still has lots and lots of drape and floatiness and is very cool to the touch as well. So if you want to make something that is really floaty, is going to catch the breeze and float away from you, maybe as you're walking down at the beach, then a viscose poplin or challis is a great shout. The one viscose that I would probably stay away from in the summer is a viscose twill. It's much heavier weight than the poplins and the challis, and it has an almost brushed texture. So it's lovely in the autumn and the winter months, not so great in the summer. The other thing to note about viscose is that it does get really heavy when it's wet. I'm not talking just a little bit of moisture. I'm talking when you take it out of the wash, it's going to feel kind of stiff, kind of heavy, a little bit strange, but once it is dry, it'll be back to its normal, beautiful, floaty self. The next fabric I love is double gauze. It's actually probably one of my favorite fabrics to sew with and wear. Double gauze is 2 layers of fine gauze fabric that has been sewn together at tiny little increments, which gives it this kind of crinkly texture. It's incredibly soft, and although it almost feels snuggly, it's really lightweight and very comfortable to wear in the hot weather. In fact, a couple of years ago, I actually made my daughter a chalk and notch mini Marcel dress in a double gauze, and in the heat wave last week she was floating around that thing as comfortable as anything, and I was feeling quite jealous. Now, because double gauze is 2 layers of fabric, it doesn't drape quite in the same way as something like a viscose does. So whilst it does gather nicely and feels lovely to wear, it's not going to float in the breeze quite as much as a viscose would. But I really love it for blouses. I do love it for dresses as well. The other thing to note is, like a linen, a double gauze can stretch around stress points, knees, elbows, those kind of spaces. So have a think about what you want to make with a double gauze with that in mind. The biggest question I get with double gauze is, should I iron it? Because it has this wrinkly texture. When you take it out of the wash, it's going to be even more crinkled. My answer is yes, you should iron the fabric the first time after it's been washed before you cut and sew. Otherwise, you're going to get some inaccuracies around your cutting and your seam lines and things like that. So I always iron it just on a warm iron to get those creases out as much as possible. Once you've sewn your garment and washed it, it is completely up to you. Whatever kind of look you want to go for is fine. I do have another video with tips and tricks on sewing with double gauze, so make sure to check that out if you're interested in sewing with this beautiful fabric. The final fabric that I want to talk to you about is jersey, particularly cotton jersey. Although it is the heaviest weight of the fabrics that I've talked about today, typically around 200 grams per square meter, where would we be without t-shirts and tank tops in the summer? It is, of course, lovely, soft to wear, and because it stretches, it moves with you. This is actually a remnant of a fabric that I used last summer to make a sew over it Lucy dress. I made the full length maxi version. Now, because it is on the heavier side to some of the other fabrics, of course, if you're making a full length maxi dress, it is going to be quite heavy to wear, which is perfect for those low to mid 20-degree days, which I think is around the low 70 in Fahrenheit. Any hotter than that and it might be a little bit too much. I do also have this really lovely quality white cotton jersey, but this is a little bit hard to show you on the screen. T-shirts, tank tops, jersey dresses are all going to be absolute staples in the summer, so I definitely intend to make myself some t-shirts with this fabric. And of course, the good thing about jersey is it doesn't wrinkle quite so much when you're wearing it, so it always looks pretty nice and fresh. Now, I do have videos with tips and tricks for sewing with viscose, cottons and double gauze, so I will make sure to link all of those below. But if you would like to see more tips and tricks on sewing with linen or jersey, let me know in the comments and I will see what I can do. So those are my favourite 5 fabrics to sew and wear in the summer. As it gets hot, think about fairly simple, unfussy, breezy patterns that are going to keep you comfortable and aren't going to take too long to sew. If you have any other fabric suggestions for me, then do let us know in the comments. Other than that, I hope you have a fantastic day and I will see you all soon. Hopefully, my little friend here will have disappeared by then.